I wonder if you're like me and whenever you hear Habitat for Humanity, you instantly think homeless people. And I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because we associate building houses and helping poor people with immediate homelessness, but it's not really the case. And I went into my next guest's interview completely wrong because I thought that they were just picking up random people off the street. I'm talking about Habitat for Humanity, but they really have an extensive and kind of grueling process so that you kind of don't default on your payments and that you can really be happy. And they do provide a service, but it's not for everybody. So just keep that in mind when you listen to this, because that was the biggest takeaway for me from this episode, is that they really are helping people, just not the way that you may think. Today I'm in Clearwater. It's my second time in this very beautiful city. I didn't even know that it was this pretty until I finally came and visited. I hope I could stay a little longer and get to see some of the sights. That would be really cool. But today I'm joined with Mike Sutton. And please, Mike, if you could please introduce yourself.
Sure. So Mike Sutton, I'm the CEO for Habitat for Humanity here in Pinellas County in beautiful Clearwater,
Florida. There we go. And so people who hear Habitat for Humanity, they think, okay, so they build houses for poor people.
Sure.
That's kind of the very simplistic way of saying it, but what exactly comes out of Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, and there's definitely some misconceptions around it as well. So our organization's been around since 1976, and so we partner with families, low-income families in our community, who are looking for home ownership opportunities. And so the families that come to Habitat are they have to have a steady job and they have to make a certain income. And they're typically individuals or families that do not qualify for government assistance. Mm-hmm. So they make too much money for that. And then they do not make enough to qualify for a traditional loan. So they're kind of stuck in this this
bubble,
middle. Yeah,
this little bubble.
Exactly.
And I saw that on the website. It was $22,500 is kind of like the median income, and that's for a family of 4.
Yeah, correct.
That's pretty insane to live off $22,000.
It's tough.
That's tough. Yeah.
It's very, very tough.
But you said something very interesting, because people who think, again, who Habitat for Humanity is for homeless people, but you said that they have to have a steady income. So can you kind of explain that a little bit further?
Yeah. So it's definitely not, we do not serve the homeless population. And so again, that's kind of what the big misconception is they, a lot of people in the community feel like Habitat builds homes and just gives them away. Mm-hmm. And again, not the case. So the families that come to us are typically, they have to hold a job or live or work in Pinellas County for a minimum of a year. They have to make between it's roughly $20,000 and $45,000 depending on their family size. And so they have to be willing to partner with Habitat. So all of our families go through a series of classes, 20 classes that are geared towards home ownership. It really helps set them up for success. And then they also put in anywhere from 250 to 350 volunteer hours. And so they're working on the Habitat homes alongside volunteers. So that sweat equity.
The sweat hours.
Yeah. So that sweat equity really helps them kind of build that home ownership, if you will. Mm-hmm. They're pouring their sweat and their tears into what we do.
And that's building other houses. That's
correct.
Going out, volunteering and helping into
correct.
Other houses.
And then once they get to a certain point, and we start their home, mm-hmm. then they're required to put 100 hours in on their own house.
Oh, on their own home
yeah.
as well. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
And so when they go out and they start building, kind of how long do the projects kind of take? How long is the family waiting? Kind of where are they waiting? So what's kind of that process?
It's really up to the family in terms of how motivated they are to get through the program. So a typical family comes into our program and can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to complete the program. So once they're accepted, that's when their classes begin. They start working on their hours. Once they get to a point where they've completed 100 hours, that's when we'll start looking for a piece of property in the community for them and identify where they're going to live. And then, really, again, it's dependent on them. I mean, we have a lot of families who are working 2 jobs, who, maybe are going to school and working. And so, their availability may be limited. So they may only be able to put in hours 1 day a week.
And so you mentioned a program, but what is in this program? What do they kind of go through?
All the classes.
So just a whole bunch of classes?
Yeah. So about 8 of the 20 classes are geared around financial aspect of owning a home. So we teach them how to budget, how to save for the future, how to decorate on a tiny budget. Things like, when something breaks, how are you going to fix that? For the first time in their life, they're not calling the landlord, who typically is unresponsive, but they're not calling the landlord to come fix the AC unit, or if the garage door comes off the rails or something like that. So we're teaching them how to save for that kind of stuff, because it is an expense. So the savings piece is huge. And then the other classes are all really geared around, how to be a successful homeowner. So we're teaching them, how to be a good neighbor, fire and safety, things, how to landscape, Florida-friendly landscaping. So, how to take care of plants, in this humid climate that we live in.
And it's the entire family that goes through the program? So
Yeah.
kids as well?
Yeah, so there's a couple classes that the kids are involved with. Fire and safety is a good example.
Definitely.
So we bring in, individuals from the fire department that teach that, and they're teaching the kids how to do stop, drop, and roll and all that kind of stuff. So we try to bring the kids into it as much as we possibly can.
And so you said that these people, they come from low-income families, and I saw that there's also they have to pay back a zero-interest loan or something
Correct.
like that? Okay, if you could please clarify that too.
Yeah.
But so what happens if they can't pay that back, or if they kind of fall into hard times, or, life happens? Then, so do they keep the house? How does that work out?
So to speak to the success of our program, we've here in Pinellas County have built 400 homes over the course of the time we've been in existence. Of the 400 homes we've built, we've only foreclosed on 6 in our history.
Wow.
0 in the last 10 years. So what that speaks to is the fact that we're providing an affordable home ownership opportunity for these families. Now, granted, you do fall on hard times. So, you lose a job, or, someone gets sick and that kind of thing. We work with the families because, the last thing we want to do is see them lose their home, but they're responsible for that mortgage. And so really at the end of the day, what makes Habitat unique is we're providing the 0% interest mortgage to these families. And so they have a 30-year note. Their monthly payment is anywhere from $600 to $700 a month, but that includes taxes and insurance. So one of the things a lot of people really like about Habitat is it's not a handout, it's a hand up. And so these families, they're contributing to the tax base. They're getting involved in their community, and there's a pride of ownership there with what the Habitat program has provided them.
Okay, so you guys just don't throw them out on the street?
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
That's what I was worried about.
We'll work with them, and in the unfortunate situation that someone there's just we're not able to get them to a point where they can get caught up, or unfortunately go through a foreclosure process or something like that. Obviously we go through it just like a normal bank would. But we're very blessed in the fact that we've been able to work through tough situations with a lot of families.
So if I were to put it into an analogy, you could tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong.
Sure.
You guys take the place of the bank. You guys are the bankers kind of in this situation, and you guys just go out and kind of take everything on your own hand. And
Sure.
But you guys obviously don't do it all by yourself, so kind of who's kind of helping you?
So we serve as a construction company, we serve as a real estate agent, we serve as a developer, we serve as a bank. And so the nice thing about those monthly mortgage payments is that they actually go back into building more homes. So as a homeowner moves into their home, and they're making their monthly mortgage payment, those funds are helping us to build future homes for future families. So again, that give back component's huge. But really what's allowed us to be a successful organization here in Pinellas County has really been our partnerships throughout the community. So we have a lot of businesses, banks, a lot of civic organizations, and individuals who continue to invest in us. They see us as an organization that we spend wisely. 94 cents on every dollar that's donated to us goes into the construction of our homes. So, the management of our donations and the management of the program is really why people continue to invest in us.
So would you say that is the hardest part of being a nonprofit, is that you kind of have to rely on donations and the willingness of other people?
Well, sure. I mean, when the economy's not going well, it's probably one of the quickest ways that people pull back is, I'll cut my charitable giving. But at the same time, we live in a world where people are giving. And so they're going to find a way to continue to support organizations that, at the end of the day, Habitat helps all of us. We're providing a simple and decent, affordable place for others to live. And so with these individuals and these families that move into the homes, it's less that they have to rely on any sort of government assistance in any other way in their life. So it's less draining on taxpayers, right?
So my fans were very curious because it is a nonprofit.
Sure.
And you're a CEO. How do they distribute funds in terms of salary and things like that? If you kind of just delve into that, because I know it's
personal, I don't work for free. Yeah, right. Of course. No. And
no one expects you to.
Yeah, exactly.
No one should expect you to.
Exactly. So one of the things we're seeing that's changing a lot in the culture of the nonprofit world is the investment in talent, right? So. You look at the nonprofit sector and the number of nonprofits out there doing amazing work. It's just like when you look at a church or a faith-based organization, a lot of times people look at it like, oh, well, they're a pastor. They shouldn't make, good money, or they shouldn't be rewarded for the work that they do. And here at Habitat, we kind of take a little bit of a different approach to that. My board of directors, who I report to, as well as our leadership team that reports to me, we invest in our staff. And so although, you may be able to make a little bit more money out in the for-profit world, we also see it as the better talent that we can bring to Habitat to build their career here, the better our organization is going to be. And so we do invest in our staff. We look at ways to train them, to develop them, send them to trainings, put them out in the community and that kind of thing, help them grow their education and grow their career. And so, I like to think that this is a great place to work and that people are compensated well. Again, we may not be making the type of money that you would make in the for-profit world, but there's intangible compensation, if you will, that, at the end of the day, I know that everyone leaves here every day feeling good about what they do.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It must be just rewarding, and it must feel really good, actually, that you guys are helping people out.
Sure.
And I kind of wanted to talk about also that you're the CEO of Pinellas County, but there's a CEO of Orange County, and of because Habitat's so huge. So kind of, how is it divided? Is it based on counties, or how?
Sure. So we're in 70 plus countries around the world. Within the United States, there's more than 1,400 Habitat affiliates, and each affiliate is independently owned and operated. And so if you go to Orange County, or you go to Miami-Dade, or you go to Tallahassee, each individual organization has its own board of directors that set policy and govern the organization, and each organization typically has an executive director or a CEO that leads and runs the organization, and depending on the size of the organization, staff and that kind of thing. We have 59 staff members here, but there's plenty of Habitat organizations out there that run with 1 or 2 staff members, but they may only build 1 or 2 homes a year. Right. And so it's really kind of all depending on that. So basically we have a mothership, if you will, Habitat for Humanity International. They're based in Atlanta, and they oversee just kind of the brand, if you will, the brand of Habitat. And so as a separate entity from them, we basically pay, if you compare it to the for-profit world, a franchising fee. So we pay them for the use of the logo and the brand, and in turn we reap the benefits of being associated with the #1 social service brand in the world. That's pretty much the gist of how the whole process.
And when you guys do collaborative projects, kind of who takes the lead? Does it depend on where you guys are doing the housing projects?
Sure. Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah, it depends. You know, so in Pinellas County, you know, we're the only Habitat affiliate here, and so any work that's done in Pinellas County is done by us within the Habitat brand. But if you just go north to us to Pasco County, which is where Dade City and Newport Richey is, there's 2 Habitat affiliates, and so they share a county, although their service area is pretty defined.
Right, it's the same area.
Yeah, yeah. So
okay, cool. And so before I switch gears, I kind of wanted to talk about veterans, because you guys do help out a lot of veterans as well. And veterans, I know you like to not talk about homelessness, but veterans do make up 8% of our homeless population.
Sure.
And you know, and that's according to the National Alliance Against Homelessness and Homelessness.
Sure.
And they also said that there's 500,000 people who are homeless as well.
Yeah.
But so my question is what do you guys do to help veterans in terms of, because I feel like they're forgotten kind of group.
For sure. They are, but I think what you're seeing is that's improving, right? So there's a lot of organizations out there now that are identifying the struggle that we're having when a veteran, you know, when someone comes back from active duty and you know, what happens, right? So, you know, where we typically fall into that is we partner with a number of organizations that serve veterans, specifically in the homelessness area. And so, and they're providing wraparound services to get these homeless veterans back on their feet, help them find a job, help them to find stable housing, and help them to just kind of improve the overall quality of life. Where Habitat can play a role there is once they have that steady employment, then we become kind of that long range goal for them. So they get a job, they start to create some stability in their life, and then they can apply to the Habitat program and partner with us to you know, basically, you know, own their own home.
Right, come and get a home.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and so I lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Okay. Actually, I was curious about just some of the projects that you guys are doing now. What are you guys kind of doing in the area? Sure. I read that you guys were doing one of the biggest projects, or you guys are starting one of the biggest projects in Florida. Can you just kind of talk about that?
Our particular organization is one of the largest Habitat affiliates in the nation. So of those 1,400 that I mentioned earlier, we're the 12th largest.
Wow.
Yeah, right here in Pinellas County.
That's awesome.
12th largest based on the number of homes we build a year. And so
is that the measurement? I'm sorry. Is
yeah.
Based on how many
Yeah,
homes?
within the Habitat world, it's really based on, you know, how many homes
built.
have you built.
Okay.
Yeah. And so obviously there's tons of metrics that we can look at, but that's kind of the big one. So in 2016, we built 50 homes in Pinellas County. Now, Pinellas County is the most densely populated county in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Even ahead of Miami-Dade. And so so the challenge with that is finding affordable land. In addition, we're on this peninsula, right? So we're a peninsula on a peninsula. So Pinellas County is surrounded by water on 3 sides, and so what ends up happening there is that a majority of the county is actually underwater or in the floodplain. So Habitat, because everything is based on the affordability of the homeowner, we never want to put them into a position where they have to purchase flood insurance. And so, or are required to anyway. And so we're really limited by the amount of property that we can build on. And so that's probably our number one focus as an organization, is always looking for land to develop, land to purchase. And, you know, quite frankly, in a lot of areas of the county, it's the redevelopment of land. So where there maybe is a dilapidated housing structure, or maybe there was a home that was torn down, that's where we're doing a lot of our work. And so we build on a lot of infill lots throughout the county. We do have a couple subdivisions that are under construction. In the city of Clearwater, we have a 51 lot subdivision that is almost nearing completion.
Wow.
So 51 families, we'll call that home. We have a 19 unit townhome subdivision in Dunedin, which is just north of Clearwater. And then we have a 18 unit townhome subdivision in North St. Petersburg. And then really what the rest of our building takes place on the infill lots throughout the county. And so, but we're always looking for land, because again, that's kind of
Would
our
you
biggest
say
thing.
that that's your biggest challenge, is just always looking for land?
Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously funding is always something that you can never use enough of, right? But yeah, I would say our biggest challenge right now, especially with the growth that our organization has felt, has been finding affordable land.
Cool. And so again, I want to switch gears because I want to get to know more about you.
Okay.
So we were speaking before that you worked at the Big Brothers Big Sisters program.
Yep.
But kind of what led you to here?
To the nonprofit sector or Habitat?
To Habitat, nonprofit.
So I kind of fell into the nonprofit sector. I had no plans to work in the nonprofit sector. I came from my upbringing. I was very fortunate and very blessed. I mean, my parents took very good care of my sister and I, and I don't want to say we were wealthy, but we never, we didn't have to worry about where the next meal was coming from or anything. Yeah, very privileged. And so I came from a situation where I wasn't really exposed to homelessness or just the struggles, right, of every day. And we lived in the suburbs of North Tampa as a kid, and so as I got into college at the University of South Florida. Part of the stipulation of my degree or my scholarship was that I held a part-time job, and so my junior year of college, I got hooked up with the YMCA over in Tampa, and so they placed me at the downtown Metro YMCA, and for the first time I was really getting exposed to low-income families and just the everyday struggle that these families had to put food on the table, to pay rent. They were bounced around from house to house, and in a lot of cases these kids that I came in contact with were just longing for some sort of male role model and that kind of thing. And I fell in it again. I kind of fell into this, and I fell in love with the sector and being able to help people that were less privileged than I was. And that's kind of how I by accident. I went to school. I got a criminology degree from University of South Florida, and the idea was that I was going to go into some sort of
like ad litem program or something like
no,
that?
I actually wanted to be like a federal agent at one point.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was going to be like customs, FBI, or what have you, but I just kind of always thought that that's where I was going to go. And it's funny because to this day I love watching like crime shows and stuff. But given today's climate and stuff, I'm actually glad I didn't go that route. Just kind of fell into the nonprofit sector. Habitat, this is the second Habitat organization I've worked for. So I spent 5 years in Texas earlier on in my career and was with Habitat in Texas. And then I moved back here in 2008, worked for Big Brothers Big Sisters for a number of years, and took this role 3 years ago. And it's been a lot of fun. There's never a day that I come into the office that I'm like, oh gosh, got to work today. It doesn't feel like work to me. It really feels like something I'm passionate about, something I love. I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy the people that we serve, and I think that makes every day just a blessing.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that you've heard a lot of heartbreaking stories and a lot of tough stories, pretty often. I'm pretty sure. I mean, but so how do you kind of filter those and handle that? Did you have some sort of mental kind of system that you go through when you hear something like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the families we serve are coming from that place, so they've gone through programs, whether it's through CASA or a homeless program, and they've bettered their life. And so Habitat is really that next step towards long-term stability. And so a lot of times we're celebrating with these families more so than seeing the struggles that they're seeing earlier on. So in a lot of ways, we're kind of blessed from that. So, but at the same time, we see families fall on hard times. So at the end of the day, I think it's all a matter of putting it in perspective and realizing that you can't change or you can't impact everyone. You can't serve every family. But we are concentrated on serving the families that we do serve well and trying to provide them with the best opportunity for long-term success. And, at the end of the day, we feel good about that. And we, know that the families that we are partnering with, we are impacting and hopefully changing their lives forever.
I love what you said, that it's not a handout, it's a hand up.
Yeah.
I think that's very important because like I said, I came in here with a completely different view of what Habitat for Humanity was because, like I said, it's like, oh, they just get a random person off the street and they build a house for them.
That's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, a lot of people like to seem to think that way.
So tell everyone that's not the case.
Oh, definitely. No,
and it does. It changes people's perspective on the organization, right? So, I think we deal with a lot of people that, oh, it's Habitat, they build houses for people and give them away. Once people realize the sweat equity that's involved, the investment that's put in from a family standpoint, people change their tune and they really get behind our organization, because we're hopefully breaking that cycle of poverty for these families that has impacted them. So they've bounced around from apartment to apartment, or from hotel to apartment to home, that kind of thing. And hopefully this is creating long-term stability for them, for their kids. 80% of the families we serve are single moms. And what is so rewarding to me is to see these women, once they've gone through our program and they're living in these new homes that they now own, the relationships around them improve. So that long-term stability, and that's something you can't quantify that, right? So you can't measure that. But what we do see are people's relationships improve. We see their education improve. We see the confidence in the kids improve, because they're now in a safe and long-term place where it impacts their grades, and so that's kind of the success of the program, that in a nutshell is really probably what keeps us doing what we're doing.
Of course, yeah, and the people that take it for granted, I kind of think shouldn't. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where it's thank you for doing it, and
Sure.
and I think it goes so under the radar, because so many people have this, I don't want to say negative view, but they have this pessimistic view of kind of what nonprofits do, and
for sure,
and they think, oh no, they're just siphoning money and things like that,
or you're prolonging it,
right.
or you're just contributing to what
you're not really helping, or anything like that. And so when you say that you're putting kids in a good environment, I grew up in a single home,
sure,
single mom home. So I know the struggles where you don't see your mom. I saw her maybe on Saturdays. That was our day that we could hang out.
Sure.
And so I definitely get where those kids are coming from, and to hear you say that really makes me feel good, because like I said, so many people just take it for granted, or like I said, they just have a pessimistic view.
Sure.
It's something that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
Yeah, and again, I want to say thank you to Pat, because Pat's the one who put us in contact.
Yeah, definitely.
Pat Craven, again, another one. So if you heard my cybersecurity episode,
Pat
hooked us up as well.
Which is becoming a huge issue, obviously.
Oh, of course.
Cybersecurity
is the next thing. Do you guys struggle with cybersecurity?
Ironically, I actually just met with Pat a couple weeks ago, because we've been talking that through the education program that we offer our families, that may be something we want to do. So although maybe that doesn't impact their home situation, we're always looking for ways to, again, just advance these families and help them, in their everyday, interaction with people. And so we feel like by offering a class in cybersecurity, that could help prevent a lot of these families from being taken advantage of. So one of the things that I'm really big on in terms of teaching our families is predatory lending, and more specifically, a lot of those organizations and companies out there who, those rent-to-own type of places,
right.
They really are designed to prey on low-income families. So in the Habitat case, there's nothing more heartbreaking than when we sell a home and see a family move in, and then you see one of these rent-to-own places pull in with all this new furniture. But if you look at it from the flip side, where these families are coming from, you move into a brand new home, and the last thing you want to do is maybe move some of your older furniture in and that kind of thing. So I can see the idea behind wanting to put all new furniture in there. But what we try to do with our families is to teach them that that you're paying a 40% interest rate on a TV probably isn't the smartest thing in the world. So again, that all goes back to that savings. So that's kind of a new thing that we've started, is trying to teach our families how to stay away from predatory lending and situations like that. And so I think something that, again, kind of the wave of the future is all of our information. It's so easy to just put it out there, right? And so how do we protect our families from maybe doing things unsecure? Yeah. I just read an article the other day about the new scam is people calling your cell phone, and they get you to they ask you a question like, can you hear me? And just by getting you to say yes, they're recording your voice saying yes, so then they can use your voice to verify things with your bank and that kind of thing.
Goodness.
And so, there was a big article in the Tampa Bay Times about this. And so, again, how many times you get somebody that calls you and they're like, hey, can you hear me?
Bro, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
So, it talked about, not answering phone calls from numbers you don't recognize. And again, I think about, my cell phone's on my business card, the amount of calls that I get, and I don't recognize the number. I'm going to just stop taking calls.
Of course, yeah. You just ignore it. Just ignore it. You don't want to get that yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you said that the rent to own, that they like to kind of prey on these families, and you guys are educating them and things like that. But so how big are the homes? You guys obviously have a certain criteria or landscape that you guys have to keep. How does that work? So
all of our homes are built within code, and so actually they advance what's required by the city and by the county.
Okay.
I was just talking to a gentleman who owns an insurance company, and he has insured a number of Habitat homes. He was telling me that the homes that we build qualify for every discount that's offered to homeowners in the state of Florida. So that speaks to the sustainability. Our homes obviously have to be able to withstand a hurricane and that kind of thing. Yeah. So again, you think about, we're building homes and that kind of thing. One of the misconceptions out there is, they're probably not very well made. But I invite you and anyone to come tour one of our homes. They are beautiful, and they're simple, they're decent, but at the same time they're built with so much love and care, and to sustain for the long term. And so the last thing we want to do is build a house that you're driving down the road and you say, oh, look, it's a Habitat house, or, oh, look, it's affordable housing. We want it to blend in with the community. We want it to blend in with the neighborhood. And so that's very important to us. Our average home is anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 square feet. And that includes a one-car garage. And so, again, it's they're not huge, but they're not.
My house is 950 square feet.
See?
So.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, and it's all dependent on bedroom size.
Of course. Yeah.
We build, most common is a 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. But we've built a number of 5-bedroom homes. We've built a couple 6-bedroom homes, and we did build a 7-bedroom home. Now, you can imagine a 7-bedroom home that was probably 1,700 square feet. It's a very long shotgun house.
Right.
The kids probably love the length of the hallway because it's, I could just
play soccer there.
Yeah, so, I could just envision throwing the football down the hallway. It's one of those situations where we maximize every square inch of that home. But again, it's all based on the family size.
Awesome. Okay, and to wrap up, if people kind of want to get involved, if they want to volunteer, how can they get involved?
Yeah, so the best way for folks to get involved is just to visit our website, which is habitatpinellas.org. We can direct you there on how to volunteer, donate, shop at our restore, how to apply for the program if they would qualify. And for folks that are outside of our service area, probably the best way is just to go to habitat.org. They can type in their zip code and it takes them right to their local affiliate.
Awesome, and I'll post that on my show links, on my show notes too, so they can get all the links and everything.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is always fun.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
So was that what you thought it was going to be, or how was it? Just let me know. Send me a message if that's exactly how you thought Habitat for Humanity functioned, or maybe you learned something and it wasn't how you actually thought that Habitat functioned. Because, like I said, I would think that they would just go around and, oh, this looks like a nice candidate, and I knew they kind of had a process, but I didn't think it was so stringent and so hard to actually be a part of the Habitat for Humanity family. But again, I just want to say thank you to Mike for taking time out and sitting with me. And it's Valentine's Day, so might as well spread love some way. And if you don't have a Valentine, might as well volunteer. So I'm going to post in the show notes the Habitat for Humanity's website, which is just habitat.org, where you can type in your zip code or your city or wherever, and you can find your local Habitat for Humanity to volunteer. And again, spread love, because in this day and age, we really need to spread as much love as we can. And I want to just briefly touch upon my next guest, because the next guest that I'm going to have on is for Black History Month, which is arguably one of the months that I hate the most. and it's not for the reasons that you think either. I have my reasons for why I hate it so much. It's the second month I hate the most, honestly. But again, I don't want to get too much into it. But my next guest, it's going to be an interesting conversation. Maybe she can change my mind. Maybe she won't. Who knows? But again, it's going to be a good one. So I just hope you find your passion, pursue it, and peace.
I speak of promised land, soil as soft as mama's hands, running water, standing still, endless fields of daffodils and chamomile, rice under black beans, walked in the apple with cracked screens and told prophetic stories of freedom, found warmth in a black queen for when I get cold like Nat King, I'm doing the dad thing. I speak of wondrous, unfamiliar lessons from childhood, make you remember how to smile good. I'm pre-currency, post-language, anti-label, pro-famous. I'm Broadway Joe Namath, Kanye's best prodigy. He ain't signed me, but he proud of me. I got some ideas that you gotta see. Make a vid with Shorty and they ship it like the Odyssey. They never seen a rapper practice modesty. I never practice, I only perform. I don't even warn, I don't eat it warm. I won't be reborn. I speak to God in public, I speak to God in public. He keep my rhymes in couplets. He think the new shit jam. I think we mutual fans. I used to dance to Michael. I used to dance in high school. I used to pass out music. I still pass out music. The people's chant must be everything the people can't be. I'm getting artsy-fartsy, house full of some Hebrew Brantleys. You must have missed the come up. I must be all I can be. Call me Mr. Mufasa. I had to master stampedes. I made it through, made it through, made it through. And everything I gave to you, I gave to you, I gave to you. You got it, you got it, you got it. It's coming. So are you